back here to the Frat House on this, the very last day of February, on 5 Minutes at the Frat House with Frat House Mike and Sidekick. And I don't know if you gave this any thought at all, but this is our 26th episode of our second season, which now means we've been on 18 straight months, 78 straight weeks of doing what we do so well.
Yep.
Don't you think?
Wow,
Yeah, exactly. How about that? All right, it was just last year at this time we were celebrating a half-year anniversary. We're now a year and a half old.
Wow, time
Yeah,
flies.
it does, doesn't it? It does.
You're mocking me, aren't you?
All right, look.
Just might be.
All right. All right, let's jump right into it, though, because we've got a job to do, and we do it so well, as I just pointed out. Let's jump right into it, and let's take a look at what's happening in the racing world this past weekend. And out that takes us to Phoenix, Arizona, where we witnessed the Arizona Nationals in drag racing. And in the second weekend of the NHRA racing, our Frat House friend, funny car contestant Ron Capps, won his first and early in the season. Good for him. He against Matt Hagan, getting down the 1,000-foot strip in just 4.06 seconds at 314.9 miles per hour. So that gives Capps Ron's a perennial championship contestant. Early season victory, which always helps later on as we go down the line. And that was just the funny car division. How does the rest of the leaderboard look? Let's take a look at that real quick. Over in the top fuel dragster division, Tony Schumacher got a
couple shakeups.
Yep, yeah, we do. Tony Schumacher got a early season win. That helped. He beat out Khalid Albish. I highlighted it. I still can't do it. Khalid Never mind. Belushi.
Yeah, that guy.
Thank you. Khalid Belushi. He was flying. Schumacher was flying at a speed of 329.9 miles per hour. He now leads the leaderboard at this point, 79 points over Sean Langdon.
Yep.
And as I mentioned, Ron Capps with his first win. He's now, and he got his first Wally of the season, 39th in his career. He now leads in the funny car category, 45 points over Courtney Force. Over in the Pro Stock, Vincent Nobile still holds on to that lead, despite the fact he actually lost in the second round to Mike Edwards, but he still holds on to that, 16 points ahead of Erica Enders.
Yep, who actually won this weekend.
Absolutely, that's correct. But still holds on to that because of his big lead that he got from the week before. There's our NHR update for this week. They're going to take 2 weeks off until the middle of March when they hit the strip over at the Gator Nationals in Gainesville, Florida. Let's go take a look at NASCAR because we had a lot of activity going on over there at down in Daytona, Florida. Mercifully, everything went pretty well this past weekend. Sidekick. We didn't have any major weather delays. Didn't have any major track delays with the Daytona 500. But before we get to the Sprint Cup race that took place on Sunday with the Daytona 500, we kind of got to talk a little bit about the Nationwide Series race that took place on Saturday. And there, not everything went quite as smoothly as I guess everybody would have preferred. All the talk that afternoon and for numerous days thereafter was about the monstrous wreck that took place in the final 1/4 lap of that race, coming to the checkered, and it involved multiple vehicles and one of the most dramatic wrecks, I've got to be honest, one of the most dramatic wrecks I've ever seen. It all started when race leader Regan Smith was being drafted by Brad Keselowski. And Smith, he kind of made a slight wiggle as they're coming down that last quarter stretch, made a slight wiggle trying to block Keselowski, and he spinning. Keselowski got on his left side, spun him out of control, put him right smack face first into the wall, right into the oncoming pack. The most dramatic images, as you can see coming up behind me here, came when Kyle Larson's number 32 went airborne up over the catch fence and ripping a hole into the fence, completely shearing off the entire front end of his car, sending the front end tires about 15 rows up into the grandstand. His burning engine was on the opposite side of the fence, just feet away from the grandstand. The images were just absolutely amazing. I mean, they were dramatic. In some respects, they were almost horrifying. In the end, 28 fans injured, 14 were hospitalized, 2 in critical condition for a couple of days. One driver, Michael Annette, out indefinitely now at this particular time with a broken sternum. Will not be racing for a number of weeks.
Ouch.
Had this wreck occurred inside, we've seen wrecks like this before. We've seen dramatic wrecks. Had it occurred inside of the oval, where it didn't splinter out into the grandstand, my thinking is anyhow, that the chatter would not have been as dramatic. We sit back, we see these kinds of things happen all the time, and yet, within minutes after this all occurred, everybody's talking about fan safety. I, in fact, actually put up a recent kind of editorial op-ed right on our own website on frathousesports.net about the whole situation. Everybody's talking about, how could this have been prevented? We see this kind of thing all the time when events like this occur right in front of our very eyes live. It doesn't matter whether it's, in sporting areas or whether it's in just society in general. I kind of throw it to you, Sidekick. You've been following racing a lot longer than I have. Does this call for action?
Well, I think any accident calls for some amount of action. I mean, this was like out of a scene from Final Destination. If you ever seen those movies where the tire flies in and kills somebody, it's supposed to be marked for death or whatever.
Yeah.
And the way media is today, I think we've talked about this every time there's some sort of big story about how the media goes into things. I think it definitely needs to be looked at. I mean, you can't not look at it
right
from a safety perspective. Is there something that could have been done to, safety wise, review records, where fence is maintained properly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think you have to go through, but before everybody goes rushing to, judgment about, you need to move this back or you need to do that,
well, that's what
look at it, do the, go through, do the investigation, and then figure out what possible things you can do. We've seen it with the safer barriers. We've seen it with Hans devices. The key is that you need to investigate and then try to figure out how to try to alleviate it.
When I did the research on this prior to putting together the editorial that I wrote up the other day, races that have actually affected fans, that is, where fans walked away from it actually coming away injured, there have only been 4 in the last 25 years, and that includes this past weekend.
Right.
I mean, are fans really at risk?
Well, I think there is a certain amount of risk.
But there's a risk in every sport we go to.
Well, exactly. I mean, you're sitting in the grandstands watching cars going,
I mean, you're
up to
risking a
200
baseball
miles.
game, though.
Yeah, you're watching cars that are going 200 miles an hour around the track. Of course, is there a possibility for one to fly up? Absolutely.
Sure.
There is some risk there, and you do your best to try to mitigate that risk. But ultimately, what's to keep a car from flying through a fence and taking out a crowd of people?
Or as I pointed out,
let's talk about last year Dan Weldon with his horrific crash in the fence and and all that stuff and all the rush to judgment about poor Dan Weldon, how can we make the cars safer? People in the stands and all that. So I think it's a little bit early. Let do the investigation. Let the investigators handle it.
All right.
And, you know, and I'm sure NASCAR will do a thorough job of investigating it, and they will make some, you know, there will be some changes that will come out of it.
All right, interesting. Interesting. It was, and you're going to get a chance to see the video as we close out this particular show this evening. I have the video at the end of it that you'll get to see. If you have not seen it already, I'd be surprised. Carl Larson's car breaking through the catch fence and some of the aftermath that occurred. Let's go over and take a look at the Sprint Cup race. And mercifully, nothing quite as dramatic during Sunday's Daytona 500. Which, interestingly enough, saw Matt Kenseth in his new number 20 Toyota, now racing for Joe Gibbs. Well, he led the entire pack for 86 laps led. I mean, no one had more laps led than Matt Kenseth in that particular race. But, well, let's just exclamation point this. He's driving a Toyota and ended up going out with engine trouble along with his, Joe Gibbs' racing teammate, Kyle Busch. Both of them actually went out with engine issues. And we kind of saw this a little bit. We talked about it a little bit pre-show.
Yep.
We saw this quite a bit last season as well. In the end, though, two teammates, 1 and 2, took number 1 and number 2 in this particular race. Jimmy Johnson taking the checkered. Dale Jr. got number 2. Mark Martin took 3rd. Defending Sprint Cup champion Brad Keselowski took 4th. And Ryan Newman got 5th. Your favorite driver, Danica Patrick, Sidekick, well, she did finish the race.
Yep.
She, and in fact, ran most of the day in the top 3rd, many times in the top 5. She finished 8th. So, you want to send a shout out to her?
No.
Well, you know, I don't know if you noticed, but you know, you got the ire of one of our viewers on our, you know, put you up a post. Put you a post, set you a comment on our video from last week.
Yep.
They want their money. They want their $20 because you made a bet.
Yeah, apparently
they want their money.
Yeah, apparently I need to, you know, pick up
You
trans
gotta pay
off
up
the
now.
side of the road to, you know,
The monkeys might fly out of my butt.
yeah. So I've got his 20. He's more than welcome to come get it. Yeah. If he can get his butt out of the couch.
Let me ask you a question. I know that you're not a big Jimmy Johnson fan, but to get an early win like this, big? Is this big for
Huge.
Yeah, I would think.
Huge. And not only that, he's got the potential. He could win back-to-back races.
Yep.
Which hasn't been done in a while.
All right, we're going to talk about that in a couple of moments. Let's throw up the early season leaderboard, and we're not going to spend long on this one because, look, let's get it straight. It simply mirrors exactly how the Daytona 500 ended. And there you've got it behind us. And you can expect that what's going to happen is that board's going to start moving around now after this weekend when we get into race 2 over at the Phoenix International Raceway. That race, by the way, will be at 3 o'clock Eastern Time on Fox Sports. So you're going to want to be checking that one out. And what it's going to mean is we're going to need a little fantasy help. As we saw there from the leaderboard at the Frat House.
Yep.
You're in 9th. I'm not even in the top 10. So give me a good week. Head here, I need a little help.
Just in case you were curious, I'll give you a quick recap of how I did last week with my picks.
Go ahead. Yeah, well, I was curious.
Matt Kenseth finished 37th, out with an engine.
Right.
Jeff Burton, 30th, with an accident. Kevin Harvick, 42nd, with an accident. Michael Waltrip finished 22nd. And Trevor Bayne had some early brush-ups. He finished 27th.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
You really piss me off.
Yep. Now, here's the thing.
Sorry, you're saying.
So it's super speedway racing.
This is just filler in our show.
Yeah. So it's super speedway racing. Anything can happen.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
I think you made.
And also, it's the first race of the season. Just because you had a bad week, don't go throwing it in. There's plenty more races.
Right.
Coming up.
Right.
So having said that, let's get on to the picks.
Your lack of faith disturbing.
There you go.
The drama of the super speedways are over. We're now on to more predictable flat track short races,
Right.
where rhythm is the key on these type of tracks. So this week we're going to look at some different drivers. We're going to look at Denny Hamlin. This guy's been phenomenal on short flat tracks. He's a little expensive at $27, but you can't argue with his success last season and previous seasons. We're going to throw Brad Keselowski in. He's a little expensive again, $28 for Brad. But he was perfect top 10s last year on short flat tracks. A little bit of, we've taken up more than half of our roster at this point, just between these two drivers. So
Yeah,
we're going to
really.
put some middle guys in there. We're going to gamble a little bit here, and try to go with some mid-tier guys. So I'm going to go with Kurt Busch, who's got a win on this track, and also 11 top 10s. He's $17.
Okay. Kurt's that high. All right.
Yep. And then I'm going to throw in Bobby Labonte and Eric Almirola.
Okay.
They're good all-around filler guys who have had success on short flat tracks. Bobby is $11 and Eric Almirola is $16. That takes your roster to $99.
I like your final two picks. I think Kurt's running a bit high there. That's my personal opinion. And Brad Keselowski actually jumped in value from last week, if I'm not mistaken, by virtue of that fourth place finish, probably.
Yep. And you'll see that as
obviously,
trend,
yeah.
you start seeing the good drivers
as they start
or
getting into the
drivers that
top
get
fives,
into a
right.
roll. You'll start seeing their value go up, and you'll see some guys who go on a sled.
Yep.
And
Yeah, because Kyle dropped, and yet Brad went up.
Yep.
And I made reference to it just a couple of moments ago. Let's take a look at where the Frat House League standings are right now. And there you've got two-time champion, Sidekick. Oh, down there at number 9. I'm not even on the board, as I pointed out, because currently I'm 16th out of a league of 17. So it goes to show you how good we are. But as Sidekick just pointed out,
Situation doesn't look good, sweetheart.
it's fine. It's early, and you got plenty of time. Trust me.
And really, anything can happen on these super speedways.
Listen.
You have a big one, and it takes out the best drivers.
I just got a
So
Kyle Busch type start. That's all it is.
Yep.
That's
Because
all it is.
I'm going to say the same exact thing when we go to Talladega.
There you go.
You might as well roll the dice and just pick 5 names that
You're right.
fit in $100.
You're absolutely right.
So,
All right, let's go jump off of motorsports for a little while here until next week. Tomorrow's the first day of March, Psychic.
yep.
And while we're all yearning for spring,
Motorcycles.
and that, I guess, not I, but he is.
As Brad and I nod, yes. We can't wait to get the motorcycles out.
With tomorrow being the 1st of March, we are now just 30 days away from the opening of Major League Baseball. And so just for the fun of it, I thought perhaps maybe what we'd do is quickly just cite some of the preseason exhibition activity that's going on. Over in the Grapefruit League, I don't know if you've checked it recently, but the Baltimore Orioles right now are leading that. With 5 wins and 1 loss. Your St. Louis Cardinals, where are they right now? 4-2. 4-2 your St. Louis Cardinals are in the Grapefruit League. And my Philadelphia Phillies now are 2-3. 2-3. They were 1-3. There were all kinds of games this afternoon, which I didn't have a chance to update on my notes here. But I've got it right in front of me. And there we are with the Grapefruit League. Over in the Arizona Cactus League, my AL sleeper team, the Kansas City Royals. How about this? They are 6-0. 6-0 record. Let's see. Seattle Mariners right now are 6-1. Previously in the basement were the Josh Hamilton less Texas Rangers, but they've now been replaced by the Los Angeles Angels, who have Josh Hamilton. 0-4. This is not
and they also
ironic.
have my friend,
That's ironic.
Albert
Go ahead.
Pujols.
Yeah.
Keep spending that money.
Well, listen, it's preseason, folks.
Yeah.
We're just having some fun. I just thought.
How about them Cubs? Where are them Cubs at?
I just thought we'd have a little bit of fun with that.
Where's those Cubs at?
You want to know where the Cubs are? Let's see. The Cubbies, where are they? They are 3-2 at this current.
Oh, that's not bad.
All right.
They'll fall apart here shortly.
All right, let's go talk some college round ball because that does have some matter at this point.
Oh,
I mean, it does
absolutely.
have some influence, and it's really heating up. With most of the top 25 teams now only having about 2-3 games remaining in the regular season. Next week at this time, we'll be talking about conference tournaments in advance of the NCAA tournament bracket selection. Changes in the top 25 this week, there really weren't too many. Indiana continues to hold on to the number 1 spot for the 4th week in a row. Gonzaga, though, on the move. Now at number 2, previously number 6 Duke jumped up to number 3, as did Michigan. They came from number 7 last week and came from number 7 last week to number 4 this week.
And they'll be going back
I know,
down.
we're going to talk about that in 1 second.
We are.
Last week's number 8 Syracuse dropped out of the top 10 to number 12. Frankly, couldn't have happened to an extra guy, and Jim Boeheim. Georgetown Hoyas, though, broke into the top 10 this week.
Yep.
They took over at number 7.
With winning a fantastic double overtime game.
Yes, it was. Absolutely. And the Louisville Cardinals continue to hold on to that number 10 spot, which I was very happy to see. Here are the circumstances, and you already alluded to a couple of them, that may affect the list as we move forward into Monday of next week. Indiana Hoosiers lost by 4 the other night to the Minnesota Gophers. Some are thinking that might put, the unranked, Minnesota Gophers far unranked. Some are thinking that might put Gonzaga at that point in the top, put them as number 1. Gonzaga, however, is playing BYU this evening, so we'll have to wait and see how that comes out. As you pointed out, number 4 Michigan lost just last evening to Penn State by 6. And Penn State unranked. So things are going to get shook up again. You can bet on that one, all right? Now, others that did break into the top 25 this past week, Sidekick, we were taking note of it before.
My Billikens.
Your St. Louis Billikens.
Yes. Knocked off local St. Joe's.
Yep. And listen, they didn't just break into the top 25. They took over at number 18.
Yep.
And Louisiana Tech Bulldogs are now at number 25, and they were not ranked last week. Now, here's what I need you to do. This is just going to get more and more and more interesting as we continue to go forward, more and more intense as we go through the next 10 days, moving towards the conference championships and the conference tournaments. Stay tuned to our Frat House Facebook page. I'm going to have up, as soon as CBS releases it, we're going to have our bracket challenge. And that's going to be open to anybody and everybody that wants to jump in on it. And it's a lot of fun. You're going to want to be there with us for that as we go through the entire NCAA tournament. All right? So make sure you're jumping over to our Facebook page. All right? Facebook page. That's where you need to be for that one. All right. Let's stick with round ball for just a couple of moments. We got 30 games, just about 30 games. That's about it remaining for most of the teams in the NBA. And we're at that particular time of the season right now where we're not seeing too many dramatic changes in the NBA standings. In fact, this particular week, how about none at all? Not a single change. No changes in the division leaders anywhere. In the Atlantic Division, the New York Knicks, 34-20. They are now 2 games in front of the Brooklyn Nets. They picked up a game on them this past week. In the Central Division, the Indiana Pacers continue to hold on to that one. They extended their lead to 4 games in front of the Chicago Bulls. In the Southeast Division, my goodness, the Miami Heat. We've been talking about the San Antonio Spurs for weeks and weeks and weeks. You got to start talking about the Miami Heat. 41-14, they are 8.5 games in front of the Atlanta Hawks. But more importantly, 10-0 in their last 10. On a 12-game winning streak, they are. No team in the NBA has done that so far this season, and it is well worth noting. And I'm starting to wonder whether they really could possibly beat a team out of the West. What Miami's doing is incredible. Over in the Northwest, it is still OKC. Thunder. The OKC Thunder, 42-15. 6 games in front of the Denver Nuggets. In the Pacific Division, the Clippers, 41-18. 7.5 games now in front of the Golden State Warriors. and the San Antonio Spurs. They dropped off just a bit this past week. They're not 9-1. I've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks. 9-1 in their last 10. No, they're now 7-3 in their last 10. They're now only 5.5 games in front of the Memphis Grizzlies.
And they just had their 18-game home streak.
Yes, they did.
That was knocked off by the Phoenix Suns.
Exactly. That was part of what allowed Memphis to pick up a little bit of ground on them. Now only 5.5 games out. You got to start to wonder whether San Antonio is going to start to show, 30 games. That's still a lot left to go in the entire season.
Yep.
You got to start to wonder whether they're going to start to slow down just a bit. All right.
While we're talking about round ball,
go ahead.
One more round ball.
Yeah.
This weekend, Major League Soccer kicks up.
There you go. You're right.
It starts.
That's right.
So I'll be in my full union gear come Saturday, and we'll start having some updates on soccer.
Now, the Union are playing. Where are they playing at?
PPL Park is a home game.
Oh, is it a home game this weekend? Okay.
Home opener.
And you're going to be down there?
Good. Oh, absolutely.
Saturday?
I will be tailgating. Yes,
and
sir.
who are they playing?
I don't remember. I want to say, I think Kansas City, off the top of my head.
Okay. All right. Already a little chilly, I would think.
Yeah, I was looking. It's only going to be like 40, so.
Right.
But I'm still going to be out there tailgating.
All right, you have a good time with that. I'd rather.
We'll have the grill out there. And
listen, if I got to be chilly, I'd rather be at the ice hockey rink. How about that one? Let's go take a look at the NHL real quick. Only one divisional change as we approach what is just about, believe it or not already, folks, the midway point of our shortened season in the NHL. Make no mistake, so despite the fact we are at the midway point, it is the everything in the Eastern Conference right now up for grabs. Everything. What do you see this leaderboard in the Atlantic Division now? One change. There it is. That's the Pittsburgh Penguins. 13-7-0. No overtime losses for the Pittsburgh Penguins so far this year. They've got 26 points, and they are 2 points ahead of the New Jersey Devils. Expect that Atlantic Division to keep going back and forth over the course of the last half part of the season. In the Northeast, the Montreal Canadiens are starting to... Where did they come from? I didn't expect this. They're 3 points ahead of the Boston Bruins. In the Southeast, the Carolina Hurricanes. This is the weakest division, really, and has been for a couple of seasons in the NHL. 19 points total. They are tied right now. Are you ready? This is a three-way tie in this division with both the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Winnipeg Jets. Over in the Central Division, the Chicago Blackhawks. Have you taken notice? No, you haven't. The Chicago Blackhawks, 16-0-3. 35 points. Are you kidding me? They are 12 points ahead of the Nashville Predators. And the Nashville Predators are a good team. My gosh. Chicago has not lost a game so far this entire season except for overtime losses, but we're not counting those as losses necessarily. In the Northwest, the Vancouver Canucks, 24 points. They are 4 points ahead of the Minnesota Wild. And over in the Pacific, the Anaheim Ducks now have pulled ahead of the surging Los Angeles Kings, who now are on a 5-game winning streak themselves. The Los Angeles Kings they're 7 points ahead of the Kings. There's our hockey chat. Well, there's my hockey soliloquy. How about we go take a look at the Frat House Facebook post of the week? Would you mind if that had something to do with hockey?
Sure, because I answered it.
How about if it has something to do with old-time hockey? Would you have a problem with that? Listen, before we leave hockey, let's go take a look at our Frat House Facebook post of the week, which came to us from our own Uncle Mark. Put up an old-time hockey family pick of 6 famous brothers who made it into the NHL, along with the comment, quote, "To the bone, I am old-time hockey. Can anyone name them all?" And it became our most viewed post of the entire week. Great stuff, and good for you, Sidekick. You were able to name every one of them in proper order, and you identified them as the Sutter brothers.
Yep.
And you did it in correct order, so that was terrific. And great stuff. That's the kind of stuff we'd love to see. Keep those posts coming over on our Facebook page. All right.
I just won't talk about this season.
There you go. That's our show for this week. Let's run around real quick and throw our shout-outs out there. Let's start it off with, as we usually do, our buddy Jonathan and our friends over at fanjunkies.net. You got to get over there and check them out. Join up. It is completely free social media, and it's a lot of fun. You and I have been over there for almost a year now.
Yep.
Going to March. March is when we joined up. What are you waiting for? Get over there and jump in on them. Now, to go along with that, Jonathan and I, since the end of August, have been doing Fan Junkies Radio over on Blog Talk Radio. 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. And you got to be checking those out. We've had some tremendous shows. We had a great NASCAR week last week. Numbers on that were terrific. We've got an NHL week coming up in about 2 weeks. That we've got all kinds of people lined up.
That one's
going
to tank.
So that's that. Oh, don't you dare! Don't you dare! It's not right. All right. So check that out over on Blog Talk Radio. You're just not right. Our show has been getting rebroadcast consistently since about Thanksgiving of last year over on Herb FM Sports with our buddies Chris Seidel down there in Maryland.
Yep. And
you've got the schedule.
I've got the schedule. Tomorrow night, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. They're going to be replaying last week's episode.
Yes.
And then, let me see here, from 6:10 to 6:45, they'll be playing this episode.
How do you like that one? So, this one right now, the one you haven't even seen yet, it's going to be broadcast tomorrow night. How do you like that? That's great. Tomorrow night, right?
Yep, tomorrow night.
Okay, there you go.
Tomorrow night.
All right.
On Herb FM.
Don't put any pressure on me to make sure this gets up or anything, Chris. Thanks very much. All right. CLW 83. How about my buddy Jim and Carl over there? We appreciate that. Jim Williams was on with us yesterday as a guest commentator over on Fan Junkies Radio.
Yep.
And I think he's supposed to be with us again tomorrow as well on Friday. So CLW 83, they've been rebroadcasting us, and they also rebroadcast my Saturday show that I do on Fan Junkies, which is the 5 Minutes at the Frat House rebroadcast. I do that on Saturday, so make sure you're over on Fan Junkies.
The interactive
Make sure
edition.
you're on CLW. Make sure you're over on Herb FM. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Okay, you got to keep track of it all. FratHouseSports.net. That's our website. All right.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I need a drink.
I know. Talk to me. FratHouseSports.net. I'm going to tell you that you want all the information. That's where you go. I just got some new content up there this week. In fact, that article that I was talking about, the editorial that I put up on about the nationwide race, that is there as well. All right. Okay, there it is. We'll be back to you next week. In the meantime, and we'll be coming to you with month number 19 starting next week. So, until then, you know what you got to do. You got to keep us real, you got to keep us live, and you got to keep us going. See ya then.
Up to the center. Bowman pushed by Klingerman. Somehow they got out of it and saved it. Hornish now back behind Stewart. Up to the outside. 2 is Brian Scott.
See, Tony Stewart just bulled his way through there to get an opportunity. And he's going to have it, too.
Final corner at Daytona. Who's going to get here first? Regan Smith 7, Keselowski 22, Stewart 33, and contact! Smith turned around. Tony Stewart is going to win this race. And a terrible crash coming to the finish.
This is a big wreck.
Kyle Larson's car with the front end severely torn off. He's bailing out of the car. Part of that car did pierce the catch fencing shy of the start-finish line. You see some of the others involved.